Welcome back to Bad Attitude C10. Well, it's been a minute. We've had a lot go on the last 3.5 months. Well, the last time I did a video with y'all, I shared that Gill Lab, it was a new sponsor that we picked up, and did a little video over the stuff that we got from them. A few weeks later, I tried to upload a couple of videos that we shot going over the fuel pump and the regulator, and for some reason, the audio and video of the camera weren't in sync. And I messed with it. I separated them, tried to get them to work, and everything I did, I couldn't get it to work. So I upgraded the Wondershare to the newest version and re-uploaded into it again. And whenever I went through and tried to separate it and couldn't get it to work, I backed out of the program, and evidently I deleted it. So whenever I deleted it, I didn't have it on the camera anymore, so I lost the footage. So that was 2 videos down the drain. So I then got my smaller little GoPro knockoff that I use whenever we're driving around on the cart or in the van to video, and the volume on it doesn't work real well as far as the speaker goes. So I bought an external microphone and hooked it up to it, and the picture quality is pretty good, but the audio sucks. It's just not real good at all. So the only other camera that I had was an older one of the action cameras that looks like this little cheap guy, kind of flip around and everything, and it was the one that originally the audio was an issue on. And what happened to it is, after the audio basically took a dump, I was voiceovering the videos that I shot with it. Well, now you can plug the USB cord in and it doesn't charge the battery, and you can't basically remove footage from it. So you have to take the SD card out, and I had to buy an adapter that I could plug into the computer and put the SD cards into it and try to get footage that way. Well, dude, it's a pain in the ass. And with me being on a budget, I started out with 4 cameras. Now I'm down to 1 that actually kind of works, and 1 that the picture is now fuzzy on, but the audio kind of works better than the camera that the picture's good on. So I guess I'm going to try to do a couple more videos here in the future, and what I'll do is I'll just turn them both on at the same time and figure out a way to kind of blend them together and see if that works. So in addition to that, we also had another sponsor come on board. It's called Steel Racing Products. They're doing 2 brushless fans for us. Andy over there told me he'd get back with me in probably another month or so. They have some updated motors and stuff that they're going to switch to, and instead of me getting some of their older stock, he's going to hook me up with some of the newer stuff that they have. That way we can do some testing on it and everything. So we're picking up several new people that are helping us out. I know that we had mentioned 417 Motorsports whenever we did the elbow for the throttle body, and we got that from them now, and we're still working on a couple of other deals. That kind of brings me to where the hell we've been. So we are still building the truck, or I'm still building the truck, however you want to word it. Just a lot of stuff. And then whenever you're building something on a budget, and I do understand a lot of people are going to be like, hey, do the best you can, and you can do, upgrades and do better things in the future. But me being a one-legged man in a wheelchair, there's a lot of stuff that I need to do before the truck's completely built, because once it's together, I can't just stand up and bend over the fender and work on stuff in the engine compartment very easily by myself. So running wires and hoses and stuff like that, I need to pretty much have my game plan to where everything gets done not only in a timely manner, but in a situation that's easy for me. So I've been delayed a little bit. We had parts that we had to order new stuff for, so for the fenders to be mounted, and I need core support brackets. The cameras are eating me up, the microphones, so a lot of overhead is coming into play. In addition to that, I've kind of been beating myself around, and I spoke to several guys. Had spoke with Daniel Powell over at Powell Camshafts and Brian Salters of Salter Racing Engines, and Luke as well over at Howard's, in concern with the camshaft that I was going to do with the truck, because the cam that we put in the truck engine when we originally built it was basically spec'd out to be utilized with the S480 turbo I had left over from the Camaro build and a quick fuel blow through E85 carburetor. So it was a pretty conservative thing that I spec'd out and had done, And at that time, we were just kind of thinking, hey, build a 1050 truck, go out, have fun, do drag and drives. And once I started putting the truck together and I found out that they changed the ruling and I'd had to put a roll bar in it to even run faster than a 1050, or actually I think it's an 1150 now. In faster, you have to have a 6-point or a 5-point roll bar at least. So I figured if I got to put bars in the truck, I'm going to put a cage in it. And so we are doing the 850 certification cage, of course. And I figured, well, if I can build it to be certified 850s, I might as well try to do something with the motor to get it to run 850s in the future. So instead of settling for the camshaft, I started talking with Luke over at Howard's, and we put some numbers together and got a cam in line to be ground. And all of a sudden, the Eric Weingartner challenge came along, and I was like, hey, there would be some kind of free testing, you know. He shared everything, and my head flow is pretty much on par with his as far as what his flows at 500, you know, and mine flow, they're just a smidgen apart. I mean, mine's flow a little better on the exhaust side than his intake, and his intake barely, or should I said that wrong? My exhaust is better than his exhaust. His intake's a little better than my intake. So what I was wanting to do was I was contemplating on bumping the duration up on my cam. And if you do the math, the efficiency on my head showed to flow way better between 5 and 600 inch lift instead of going over a 600 inch lift. So I was going to try to put a profile together on a camshaft and deduct the amount of lift and make my low lift in the 500 range and do testing with it. And then put some 1.8 rocker arms on it and bump it up into the 600 inch lift range and see what the actual real world benefits would be. And since Weingartner was doing the camshaft challenge where it was going to be average horsepower and average torque, not just peak numbers, and that's what we were actually gearing the build of my truck to do, is I'm not looking for peak numbers. I'm looking for drivability, durability, and basically have my cake and eat it too. So we tried to get in. The cam grinder went down. There's no way we could get the cam in before the deadline. Tried everything I could, just didn't work out that way. Crazy thing is, he's now released the cam specs and everything, and the guy that placed 4th in the cam challenge, actually the cam specs as far as the timing events and everything, the only thing difference was he had 2 degrees less duration at 50 on the intake side, but as far as the exhaust timing numbers, the intake center line, the lobe separation angle, lift, everything's identical to the cam we were going to submit. So it's kind of crazy, but you know, we were hung up. There's nothing we could do. So what we ended up doing is we have the cam here now, and I'm going to try putting these 2 cameras to work and do a video of a cam swap in the truck engine. It's not in the truck yet, so we're going to see if we can knock that out. In addition to that, we're also working on getting some more parts to where I can plumb the fuel system. We're looking for coil pack stuff and some better mounts for the coil packs, because we're going to go ahead and remote mount the coil packs. And other than that, I think I have everything now excluding a steering wheel, the 5-point harnesses, a window net, a drive shaft, and I think the lower steering column linkage that's going to go from the column itself to the rack, and a couple of universal joints or elbows, whatever you want to call them, for that. So I'm in pretty good shape now as far as all the parts getting here. The stuff did come back in from paint. I still will have to find somebody that can paint my bed, both bed sides and the tailgate and the rear roll pan. I don't want to tie my stuff up again for another 18 months as we did with the front, and I want to get the truck done to where hopefully next year we're making some licks on it and attending some events. And again, I know there's going to be a lot of y'all like, hey, just throw it together and get it running and go have fun, but when you have people coming on board such as Fuel Lab, you know, Howard's, Steel Racing Products, 417 Motorsports, and Speedwire, and K&R, I mean, these guys, they do sponsorships and they have thousands of people hitting them up, you know, on a weekly basis, and you have to kind of separate yourself from everybody else so you can get somebody to support you or back you. And if you're just throwing something together and throwing it out there and not being competitive and not competing on a regular basis, people aren't going to try to get involved with what you're doing. So I want to get the truck finished, and I want it to be par or running, you know, good, and be able to make several events Catastrophic failures happen to everybody, but the thing is, some things that don't involve safety, I understand people will cut quarters on and everything like that. But to me, it's kind of like this. We put the fuel cell together. I told y'all about the sending unit not matching the gauge. It says it was the same ohm gauge as far as the sending unit, and the gauge read off. If, for instance, if it's Slaughter or if Bubba was with me and we were doing either a Rocky Mountain Race week or a sick week, and we ran out of fuel in the middle of nowhere and nobody else was running around, and the truck being on E85, which we will have a flex fuel sensor so we could run it on regular fuel too. But my point is, a new sending unit was like $30, and it's a proper one. I already bought it. I just need to put it in the cell. It does work with the gauge properly. I also found out watching the Burn Down channel, that's another YouTuber. He's a cool dude. He's got a Malibu called the Maliboom. His name's Dane Thompson. Anyway, he had a cell and running the 85, and it kept passing stuff and clogging his filter up, and it turned out it was what the actual float was made out of. And the sending unit that was in his tank looked identical to mine. So I'm like, well, I'm going to learn by other people's example, I guess you could say. He chased this problem for a while, and then he finally found out what it was. So the gauge reading off, yeah, people are like, oh, you can get away with that, and I agree kind of. But if the sending unit that's in the tank is not going to be 85 friendly like they said it was going to be, and it could break down and then start stopping stuff up, and I got a brand new fuel system from Fuel Lab, I don't want to tear shit up. I mean, I want it to be dependable, I want it to be durable, and I want to have quality stuff. So I've been having to save money and buy stuff. As I mentioned, I'm getting stuff lined out to where we can get back to building. Plus, I live in Texas. It's been hot as hell, so the weather's changing, and we're about to get back on track and start getting this truck together. So again, I apologize for not being out there. Please disregard, if you see issues with the camera being a little fuzzy and the audio sucking a little bit in these upcoming videos, until I can get the money together to buy another camera. And I know everybody last time was like, oh, use a phone, and I have a cheap LG phone, and 2 of them to be exact, and I tried to do some videoing with it, and it sucks. I don't have $1,000 phone. I got a phone I paid $80 for. The other phone I actually paid $45 for. So I mean, I'm on disability, guys, and building a truck on disability is not actually the smartest thing to do. But I do not have the ability to go and spend $300 or $400 on quality camera stuff, and that's something I'd have to get into. And my channel is being done to basically get subscribers and get followers and get this truck going, and hopefully become appeasing to sponsors in the future. So again, I apologize for not being around. There's been a lot of personal stuff, and close people or family, well, not really family members, but almost family people, known them for the majority of my life, and people going through a lot of stuff that I'm not going to share here because this isn't the place to do it. But just a lot of hiccups and bumps along the road, but I'm about to get back to it. I'm sorry I'm rambling so long, but y'all stay tuned. There should be a cam swap video. It'll be in 2 parts coming up pretty quick. And till then, thank y'all for being patient, and I'll see y'all next time.